Okay, so the car that everybody hates, well, most Americans hate, few people hate anyway. What we're looking at here is an '88 Oldsmobile Cutlass Ciera. This vehicle was purchased as a restoration project that turned out to be a backup vehicle for a very brief time. Now, this vehicle is more or less parked. It hasn't been taken off just yet, but the car is still in motion. But anyway, before I get into any further here, we are looking at an '88 Cutlass Ciera. These vehicles were in, mass production. There's really nothing fancy about it. They were, in my opinion, a very dependable vehicle. I've never ever had a problem with them. And but as many of these front-wheel drive platforms, a lot of people hated them, and I guess a lot of people had bad luck with them. But I really never had a problem with it. A lot of people would say that, oh, they weren't any good, they didn't have very nice appeal, a lot of people didn't really care for the styling. Well, to me it was my first vehicle. My first car was an '86 Oldsmobile Cutlass Ciera, and well, when I seen this, it's like, well, you know what, I don't really need another project vehicle, but I decided to go with it anyway. So we do have brand new tires, except they are mismatched. We got Goodyears up front and we got something else in the back. The tread is like they're brand new tires, so I wasn't going to complain about that. We are missing wheel discs. These rims are brand new, and also included in the sale was a brand new set of winter tires, which I will never ever use because I just don't plan on driving this vehicle in the winter. These taillights, if anybody remember the Cutlasses back in the day, or even have a Cutlass now, that there was a medallion here of the Oldsmobile Rocket. This one is missing as well, but we still have the rest of where the rocket emblem actually sat. This one here is gone, so I got to find out if I can find one. What really turned my eye toward this car is that this actually has a trunk rack. This was an option. My Cavalier actually has one of these, except mine wasn't chrome. This one is, so I kind of really like that. Seeing as how I travel to the United States a lot, I figured, you know what, well, this might come in handy for, many things. But seeing as how the car is going to be parked, it probably won't be going far, and it probably won't be going to the US this year. Seeing as how winter is coming, and I don't plan on winter driving this vehicle in particular. So anyway, I just washed this unit. We do have some front stone chips here. The windshield has been replaced in this vehicle, which is good, because I figured as soon as I seen the front stone chips here on the header panel, I thought the windshield would have been all pitted, but somebody replaced it, and whoever owned this car did take care of it. This is the original paint, and what I find really interesting is that when I first washed this, there was water beads on it. Meaning somebody just waxed this thing before they sold it to me. So I can't complain about the price. The price was $500. It was turnkey, engine started. Absolutely nothing wrong with the vehicle at all. It does need a muffler. The interior is in fantastic shape. The headliner is even perfect. Now when I first bought it, the lights up here, the reading lamps, didn't work. Now back in the 80s, I believe it was 87, GM stopped making the dome lights here, the reading lights in facing to here. My 86 had them up here, but then they started putting them up there, so which is kind of a neat idea anyway. I'll show you the power plant. We are dealing with a 2.8 liter, so this was the last of the 2.8s. The 3.1s were the successor after the 2.8s were dropped. Multi-port fuel injection. If anybody understands fuel injection in any way, what we have here behind this intake plenum is that we have a fuel rail sitting here, and behind this fuel rail there is 6 injectors. They're actually sitting on the fuel rail, and they inject fuel into each particular cylinder, and it's controlled by the computer. Which increases horsepower and fuel economy, and let me tell you something. The 3.1s, I swear, would outperform some V8s. Even today, they were a powerful engine, and I always had good luck with them. As for minor little setbacks, we do have a problem with the belt tensioner. This thing squeals quite a bit, and you know, I shouldn't be able to do that. So you know, the belt is brand new though too. The engine was oiled. Well, it was covered in oil. I ended up degreasing the engine compartment, and I ended up shining everything up, the plastics, all that stuff, because I'm, you know, well, super, what's the word I want to use? Well, anyway, I'm super particular with stuff like that. Like, if the engine has to look good, you know, there can be rust in the engine compartment. You know, it can show its age, but there's no excuse that the engine has to be coated in oil and grease and whatever else. So I spent the whole Saturday afternoon degreasing it and shining it up. So, but anyway, very powerful engine. I've never had a problem with it. Now, a lot of people have actually complained over the years about the transmissions in these cars, the transaxle, seeing as how we're dealing with a front-wheel drive vehicle. And yes, I can agree with you there. The transmission does slip between third to second. If it's downshifting, you'll notice a slight nudge. If it's upshifting from second to third, it's not so bad, you won't feel it. But if it downshifts from third to second in town, you're going to feel it. And this particular vehicle does exactly that. The transmission does shift very rough, going downshifting from third to second gear, and you know, you'll feel it. Most of these transmissions were like that, unfortunately. They were just, you know, that's the way they were. Now, the exhaust is letting go. I'm going to start this engine up for you right now. Kind of smooth, kind of quiet. Unfortunately, I have a big hole in my muffler, which is why it's so loud right now. But regardless. So anyway, this is my new project for the winter. It's going to get painted this winter, hopefully in the new year. It is going to be parked, however, the next couple of weeks. It did make a few runs to the National Capital Region. Drove it to Ottawa a few times, and hey, this car rides great in the city. It runs good and lots of power. And the horn is nice and loud too for those idiots on the highway too. So, you know, I got to show off my rage somehow. I got to have a manly horn. So, other than that, you know, very clean car. You know, I like finding gems like this. When I first seen the car, I was like, you know what? I kind of had to take it because, you know, it was my first car. Even though I don't really care for the color, I've kind of grown accustomed to it now, but I really wanted to get back into what I like to call my glory years. And when I bought this, I towed it home because I didn't have insurance on it, and I didn't feel like going to jail or paying a fine that night. So the next day when I did put it on the road and I took it out for a drive, I just had a big smile on my face. A lot of people don't like these cars, but to me, it has sentimental value because it was my first car, and I imagine a lot of people out there are the same. You have your first car, maybe you lost it, maybe you got into a car accident and you wrecked it. So when you find something like this again, or something similar to your first car, it's kind of like, you know what? I'm not getting any younger. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. You know? And that's kind of what I did here. The car isn't exactly the same, but you know what? There aren't many of these around here anymore. They're kind of gone. You know, the salt pretty well ruined most of them. Mine had a 2.8 liter, but it was a 2-barrel carburetor. It was a completely different engine entirely in this, in my old one, but the dynamics were pretty well the same. The car is the same. Mine had digital dash. This one didn't. So it is what it is. So other than that, like, this car is brand new. It's got brand new shocks in it, brand new everything. I spent the weekend cleaning it and did a whole bunch of work to it, and absolutely fantastic automobile. And basically what I paid for, you know, the price that I paid for it was basically just for the tires. So, which is kind of neat because, you know, I didn't really pay anything for the car. But I was going to purchase this vehicle anyway because I wanted another project car. And when I seen it, it was like, well, you know what, I gotta buy it. And then I had an unfortunate mishap with my Caprice, and well, I kind of needed to, well, have a car. I bought that at Answercon. I stuck that on there. Actually, I found that in the Caprice after the accident. It must have been hiding under the seat, and you know, once I had that collision, everything just slid under the seat, and you know, then all of a sudden you find stuff. So I stuck that on there. A blue raccoon. We'll figure that one. So anyway. Other than that, I did shampoo the interior as well. Like, the seats are actually in fantastic shape, but I shampooed the car anyway because I usually like doing stuff like that when I first purchase a vehicle. And I stuck this towel over top because I was just, you know, I'm just super picky about stuff like that. I just try and keep things as clean as possible, so. But anyway, we do have typical Cutlass Rust. You know, we do have 2 rust spots here, but thankfully, because the car is brown, you can't really see that from over here or on the highway, so I can't argue with it. But anyway, it feels good to own one of these again. A lot of people hated them, but hey, it's not them that are driving it, so. I am going to paint it the original color because I am an all original kind of guy, so yes, this car is going to be painted brown, unfortunately, but the way I see it, with a base coat, clear coat on this car, it's going to look real sharp, and well, with the high gloss shine, it's like, who cares? So, that, and I'm not prejudiced against brown cars anyway, so I don't really care for white. I think certain shades of white can look cheap on vehicles, but so can brown in a certain way, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it brown. I was gonna paint it a different color, but well, you kind of got a brown and burgundy interior. I was gonna paint it black because black and burgundy look good, but the problem is the burgundy seats are fine, but we got a brown dash and steering wheel, so that's kind of not gonna work.